Hey, hi, and howdy, sweet friends. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. My name is Courtney. I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mom, and I do a lot of food and kitchen content here on my channel. So make sure you smash the subscribe button and stick around. And without further ado, let's cook some Christmas dinner. I did a Thanksgiving dinner not too long ago, and it did really well. So I wanted to do a Christmas dinner, same style, very quick, very easy meal that won't break the bank. I went to Walmart and I picked up this ham, and I am just scoring it just so the flavor can kind of seep down inside. This was a very cheap ham. It was about $12 and it fed a lot of people. So it is a very great, like budget friendly main course for your Christmas dinner. We're gonna make like a little glaze that goes over this. I've used this glaze in the past to cook my hams in the oven. This is my first time to do it in the slow cooker, but I've gotta say I was very pleased. The ham was really juicy and tender and I loved it. So I started off with about 10 ounces of Dr. Pepper, and to that I added in some brown sugar. Then I'm draining all the juice from a can of pineapple. You can add the chunks in if you want. You can even go crazy and add in the maraschino cherries. A lot of people do that. I did not. I did add a little squeeze of Dijon mustard in here, and I nuked it in the microwave just to melt the sugar to make this all incorporate well, and poured it on top of my ham. And then I just slow cook this low and slow all day long. I will link that particular recipe down below. Most of these are my own recipes and I'll just be listing them, but that one was someone else's, so I'm gonna link it for y'all. All right, let's move on. This is a household favorite, mac and cheese. Like, who doesn't love mac and cheese? But I'm gonna throw some broccoli in. Usually at the holidays we do a cheddar broccoli rice, which, oh my gosh, my husband and I like live for that stuff. But I wanted to do something different because I've done that before, so I thought I'd change it up and do some mac and cheese. I started off by making a roux. I put some of my garlic oil in the bottom of my pan. You could use butter or olive oil, whatever you have. Equal parts of the oil and flour will make a roux. And I like to go ahead and season my roux because it toasts the spices that I'm adding a little bit and just kind of helps them be a little bit more flavorful. So I added in salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, and paprika. And then I'm just gonna slowly add in some milk. I'm doing 2 cups of milk. You could do any kind of milk you want, but just be careful if you're doing like coconut milk or something because it does have like a sweeter taste to it. If you're trying to stay away from like actual dairy, I would do like a rice milk or an almond milk. And to that, I added in a little bit of Worcestershire sauce because I just love the flavor that it brings, and some grainy Dijon mustard. I do about a tablespoon of that, and that really just kind of brings on that zingy taste you get from super sharp cheese, and I think it's just fabulous. You can add in any other spices or seasonings that you want. Some people like herbs in there. There went my whisk. It met its match that day, and that was the day it died. I'd have to put that on my grocery list for this upcoming week. So I switched over to a spatula, but I really do recommend using a whisk just so you can break down any clumps that happen to form. Nobody wants a clumpy cheese sauce. So to this, I added in about half a cup of freshly shredded Parmesan cheese. As far as Parmesan goes, it is better if you freshly shred that yourself just because it melts better. And it is better if you freshly shred your cheddar as well. You don't have to, but your sauce will be a lot creamier if you do. I added in about 1.5 to 2 cups of medium cheddar cheese. Sharp's even better because you can use less. That makes it even cheaper. But I had this giant block of medium that was just kind of hanging out in my fridge, and so I used it for this. I'm just gonna let this kind of come together. I've turned the burner off at this point because it's hot enough to melt the cheese, and it's just gonna kind of sit and hang out. Now I did take some frozen broccoli, I nuked it in the microwave and drained it, and then I chopped it up a little bit so it was a lot more bite-sized friendly. You know, sometimes those pieces of broccoli are really big. Do make sure that you drain it because there's a lot of water in frozen broccoli and it's going to really water down your sauce, and you do not want to do that. I do have some elbow noodles cooking in the pot next to this. You can use any kind of pasta you want. Elbow noodles are just really easily accessible. They taste great and they're super cheap. For whatever reason, I can usually get those cheaper than other ones. So go figure, I don't know why that is. I'm just gonna mix everything together. I believe it was about 1.5 cups of elbow noodles there. And it looks liquidy, and it's supposed to. We're gonna bake this and the noodles are gonna soak up all of that delicious cheese sauce. They are par cooked. I cooked them for about 6 to 7 minutes, so they still have a lot of bite left to them, but they're gonna get nice and soft and perfect in the oven. Then I just melted a couple of tablespoons of butter in the microwave and mixed in some breadcrumbs. And then I'm gonna top our broccoli cheese macaroni casserole with some shredded cheese and that breadcrumb mix. And we're just gonna bake this for about 20 to 30 minutes. You wanna leave it uncovered so the breadcrumbs can get extra toasty and delicious. The cheese will melt, the noodles soak up the sauce. It's beautiful and it's so delicious. All right, let's make some corn casserole. So this ended up being like the actual favorite of the whole entire meal. I've made this once before, but I used a Paula Deen recipe and we did not love it. I used a different recipe this time and we absolutely adored it, devoured it. It was gone in no time flat. So I will link this particular recipe down below. I'm mixing in some sour cream, a can of regular corn, a can of cream corn, and I added in some onion powder. The recipe does not call for that, but I just wanted to add it in and it tasted fabulous. I think it's because I make this creamy corn casserole that my mom makes. I make it for my youngest son, Jensen. He just adores it, and it does have onions in it. So I think that's why I just really wanted to add that in. But like I said, recipe doesn't call for it, but if you got it, it does taste really good. I also added in some melted butter and an entire box of that Jiffy mix right there. We're just gonna mix this really, really well and then place it into a greased casserole dish. And then we're gonna bake it. I think it's like 350 for 40 minutes. I did have to bake mine a little bit longer than the recipe said. I think I ended up baking it like an extra 15 minutes. It was very, very jiggly in the middle. I don't know if maybe I misread the recipe and I used the wrong size pan, so mine was too thick, or what the deal was. I'm just gonna warn you up front, that did happen to me, but I mean, it was an easy fix. Like I said, I baked it for 5 more minutes, checked it, 5 minutes, checked it, and did that until it reached exactly what I wanted it to be, and it was just amazing. All right, let's move on to deviled eggs. I think everybody probably knows how to make these, but if you don't, or you want to see how I do it, or you're looking for something a little different, I load mine up. So I hard boiled a bunch of eggs, then I just mash up the yolks with a fork just to break them down and get them crumbly. I add in a little bit of mayonnaise and a little bit of grainy mustard. If I don't have grainy mustard, I like Dijon. I can use just plain yellow mustard, but I do find that when I use the other stuff, it tastes a little bit better. Then I like to add in both sweet and dill pickle relish, and I season it with salt, pepper, and onion powder. And that's pretty much it. Taste test it before you fill it, because every time I make this, I have to add in different amounts. One is because I make different amounts of eggs every time, but two, I just feel like every time, like maybe the eggs just taste a little different. I don't know. But I just go ahead and spoon mine in there. I'm not super fancy. I've used the zip top bag method to pipe it in before, and you can do that if you want, but a spoon works great too. And I top mine with some regular paprika, very traditional, but super yummy. All right, mashed potatoes. I've made mashed potatoes on my channel before, but I wanted to do something different, and I've seen people do what I'm doing and something similar before, and I thought, you know what, this will be fun to try. So I just boiled some regular russet potatoes. Now, my preference would be the gold ones, but I had this huge bag of russet, so I'm trying to work through them. So I boiled up a couple of those, and then I just mashed them up with a little bit of butter, and I'm adding in some Alouette cheese. It's the garlic and herb. I've seen people do boursin, and I really thought about it because they have like a chive and something that sounded herb and chive, something like that sounded really good. But I just went with the garlic and herb Alouette. It is a little bit cheaper. Then I add in some salt, some pepper, and either half and half or heavy whipping cream, really. I mean, you can do milk, but I feel like the half and half and the heavy whipping cream definitely just make them richer and creamier. And then I just seasoned to taste. That Alouette is very strong, so half a tub made a huge, huge casserole dish of mashed potatoes. But you can kind of just do more or less if you want. And it was a very quick and easy shortcut. Now, these are originally it was supposed to be cheese straws, but I don't have a piping bag, and I didn't like the way the dough was. I didn't feel like it was going to pipe properly, so I ended up making like little cheese crackers, but these are really good. If you like Cheez-Its, but you want something a little bit, I don't know, more adult, these are really tasty. So I had some butter, and I just kind of whipped it up in my mixer, and I added in a bunch of cheddar cheese and some Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of salt, and some paprika, garlic, and onion powder, and then some flour, and you just mix this until a dough forms. It's kind of like a cheddar cheese shortbread at the end of the day because there's a lot of butter in it. I really liked them, and I think they would be really good if we had, I don't know, some kind of dip for them or something to put on top of them. They don't spread out, so they're kind of thick. I rolled mine in balls and just kind of pressed them flat. But I did enjoy these. I still want to do cheese straws. I'm just looking at this dough. I don't think it would have piped out very well at all, and I don't know why. I followed the recipe and I double checked it, and my dough was very thick. So I'm not sure what the deal was with that. I might try another recipe in the future, but these are very, very tasty. I can't think of exactly what I might want to put on top of them, but I feel like they would be good with some sort of dip or creamy topping or something like that. But they were super easy. I mean, I just whipped everything up in the mixer, rolled the little balls, and then mashed them flat and baked them. And they were very, very good. I do recommend these if you're looking for something a little bit different. Next, we're going to make this pull-apart garlic bread. I've only made like any kind of pull-apart bread once or twice before, and I haven't really loved it, but I wanted to try this because I did have, I did really enjoy these Rhodes rolls. And so I wanted to just go ahead and give this a shot. And it was okay, but I don't think I would make it again. So I started off by making my garlic butter mixture. So I've got some garlic. I'm using confit garlic because that's what I have in my kitchen. That's what I like. And I do link the recipe to make that down below if you're interested. It's like my favorite kitchen condiment. But you could use roasted garlic or just add garlic powder. It's totally up to you. And then I just kind of snipped in some fresh parsley, and I'm adding in some of the other dried herbs that I have on my spice rack. I had chives, and I think I did some thyme and a little bit of oregano for that kind of like Italian flavor. And there's my softened butter, and I'm just mixing it all together. And then I'm going to put this in the microwave just to melt it. And I've got a bag of frozen Rhodes rolls. I thawed them, and they took a while to thaw because they're like really dense. So I've been thawing them all morning by the time I got ready to make this. And I'm just going to pull out each roll. I started off rolling them flat with a rolling pin, but then I just discovered that I could do them just as easily with my two hands because the dough was so nice and soft. And they stuck to my hands far less than they stuck to my rolling pin. So I just went ahead and stretched them out by hand like that. And then I'm just going to dip each one in the butter herb sauce that I made. And they're kind of sliding down right now, but when I'm all done, I'm going to stand them up so they run the length of the pan. And you can just pull like one flattened roll out at a time. This was a really fun idea. And it called for one of the recipes I saw called for Rhodes bread dough, like the loaf, and I couldn't find that anywhere. I feel like the bread was a little too dense. I may play with this recipe and do like a monkey bread version in the future though. Stay tuned if you're interested. All right, sugar plums. Have you ever had sugar plums? Because I've never had them. I wasn't quite sure what they were, but I came across a recipe and it sounded really good, and I got to tell y'all, like, these are amazing. I'm hooked. So I started off with some dried apricots and I ran them through my food processor so it would like mince them up. Then I took some dates, did the same thing. And then I'm throwing in some walnuts, and those are getting a really good chop right there in my food processor. And then I'm going to go ahead and zest in one orange. I had some oranges, I forget what kind they were, that I had bought a while ago, and I hated them for eating just because they were a nightmare to peel. You couldn't get all the white stuff off. So I've been using them for different baking things. That was my last one, thank goodness. They were just ridiculously difficult to peel, but they worked out great in the kitchen because it's the holiday season and there's a lot of orange flavored stuff. So once I zested the orange, I added my dates and my apricots back in, and then I'm tossing in some cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice, I believe it is. There might have been some clove too. I'll link the recipe down below. And then a drizzle of honey, and then I'm just letting it go for a ride in my food processor so it can all kind of come together and do its thing. If you have a mixing blade on yours, you can totally use that at this point, but I just left my regular blade on there and it worked out just fine. Now this is a very, very sticky mixture, but we are going to roll it into balls and then roll it into some regular white sugar. So I got my small cookie scoop out, and then I'm just going to stand in there and roll these little balls like that. They rolled up really quickly. This was actually a very quick dessert to make, and it's a little, I don't know, a little different for me. Are these something that you eat regularly at the holidays? Have you ever had them before? Like, I don't even think I've ever seen them in the grocery store or anything. So this was totally new to me, but we loved it. And here is the finished product. That ham just, I mean, it fell apart. It was so perfect. Those garlic and herb mashed potatoes were absolutely just mouth-watering and amazing. The sugar plums were just wonderful. It was like a really nice dessert because it was fruity and delicious. And there's the pull-apart bread. Like I said, we ate it and it was good, but I just wasn't thrilled with it. Let me know if you have a different version down below so I can give that a try. There's my mac and cheese, that amazing corn casserole, and those cute little cheddar cookies that I ended up making, or cheddar crackers. So delicious. I forgot to pull the deviled eggs out for this shot, but I did remember to pull them out. Whenever we were plating up our food, I was looking at everything going, I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I forgot something. And sure enough, I did. I looked in the fridge and there they were. So you can see I put one on my plate there. This was so absolutely delicious, and it was so easy and pretty budget friendly. So I hope you guys will give this a try. Everything is linked or listed down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I've got a bunch of holiday content that I have filmed and I'm getting out. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will see you soon with another video. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye.